On today's episode, we talk about the Bournemouth game, the Brighton game, the weird Christmas movie Photoshop jobs that were released by Tottenham Hotspur.
We also discuss the injuries we've been having and how that's been affecting our squad.
The unlikely return of one squad member, our short king backline, those mini men keeping the goals out. Plus, we get into some tinfoil hat territory. Yeehaw. Welcome to A Bit Spursy for the new year, the first episode for 2024. Even though the year's changed, I'm still Barney.
I'm still Dan.
And that was very I'm still Dan. You're not, this is somebody else.
You said so like positively that I wanted to make sure that I didn't bring like just a weak little self into 2024.
Yeah, but it was so strong that it sounds like this is like an impersonator, like a skinwalker, or like you're being driven by like a little mouse.
Well, the whole like Christmas period, I've just been staring in the mirror being like, I'm going to be more confident this year.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to say my name louder.
Yeah, good. I mean, I love it. It was really punchy. It was a good start. Yeah. It was a good start. Ooh, what are we going to talk about today, Dan?
Well, I've had a couple of games. I've had 3 games since our last episode.
Yeah.
The first one, the Everton one, let's brush over that one.
Yeah, Everton, we won that.
Oh, no, not the Everton, sorry.
Brighton.
Brighton.
Mm.
The Everton game, good.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about probably the Bournemouth game in most detail with little traces coming through for the rest of it. But yeah, Bournemouth was the most recent one.
Yeah.
So I feel like we start there.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like a really good idea. And like we should then, so we'll go Bournemouth first because that's the most recent, and then we'll start with the order will be like shades of blue. So we'll go with the deepest shade of blue first, and then sort of lighter shades of blue if we have time.
If we have time,
yeah.
If we have time, I guess we'll talk about Brighton.
I don't know,
but we might not.
Yeah,
might be cup of time.
Yeah, exactly. How did you watch this game?
Sitting down at home alone.
Alone.
Sounds very sad. I think we did the same.
Yeah, I did. Did you watch it live?
I did watch this one live.
Yeah, nice.
My head didn't even think that that's what you were asking.
Yeah.
It's just like you were really perplexed as to how I actually enjoyed the game. Because there was a recent game, which I can't remember which one it was. I think it was before Everton.
Yeah.
Where I think I might have told you this, but I was like standing up for the whole game. And I just couldn't, for whatever reason, I was just really into it. Couldn't sit down. Maybe it was West Ham? Anyway, so then maybe I was like, oh, maybe Barney's like remembered that, and then he's like, are you sitting down again, Dan?
Yeah.
You're still standing up?
Where are you
What's
at
your preferred method?
Yeah, what are you? Yeah, I was watching it with my eyes; they were open, processing information through the ocular, region of the brain, seated. Yeah, good,
exactly. Yeah.
The reason why I asked because it was New Year's Eve. Well, it was New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So because I was at a New Year's thing and I came home and watched it delayed, but still, like an hour delayed or 2 hours delayed maybe. And because there's a big storm happening.
There's a very big thunderstorm. We went like warnings on our phones of severe winds, rain, thunder. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I feel like I'm in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Just, I hope this house picks up and we spin around and go to Oz. Yeah. I want to get out of Oz and I want to go to Oz.
Go from Oz to Oz.
Yeah. God. Yeah. That's my goal.
Are you Dorothy in this?
I'm Toto. You're Dorothy.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, that's good.
And so, I'd obviously been at a party. I'd been having a lot of fun. And my brain being so excited by the new year was in such a state to watch this game.
Yeah.
I was alone and just like live commenting. I was like, yeah, nice one. And I caught myself maybe in the second half. I was like, oh my God, I've been talking.
Is this as if you still had friends gathered around? I like if someone looked in your window, you've just got pillows with faces drawn onto them. No, why would you sub Decky now?
Yeah. Someone's out for a nice walk, New Year's Day, 4 a.m. Walk past, guy with a bunch of pillows with faces drawn on them, just absolutely going nuts. Yeah, but that's how I enjoyed it. I've also got a cramp in my neck. It's gone.
Oh, short-lived. There we go.
That was short-lived.
It's great.
Can I say one of the things that I've been doing differently this year is I've recently got into it.
The last 2 days.
Literally the last 2 days.
Yeah, okay.
Is I've got really into watching, you know, those YouTube videos where it's always a dude, and they're not like proper football man. They're kind of like a little bit more. They seem a little bit more sort of clean. They're cleaner, or they're like they're trying to sort of engage more intellectually with football, but they're like intellectual in the sense that you'd say like Ricky Gervais is an intellectual. Like it's just like you're like trying to be smarter than they are, and it always starts. And I love them so much. The videos start with like it'll be called like what's going on at Arsenal, what's going on at Chelsea, are Spurs really in the title race? And they always start with like, look, I like Spurs, I do like them. You know, I'm not going to say I don't. You know, this new manager. But can we put a stop to this idea that they're at the title race? And then they're just like so pass-ag for like 30 minutes. And they say things like, effort is a direct correlation to winning and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, cool. What do you mean by direct correlation, you idiot?
Yeah.
So that's my
Just
favorite.
keeping it real. Sorry.
Yeah. But what I will say is all these videos have much more views than we do.
Yeah. So who's laughing?
Yeah, who's laughing now? They are. Yep. So if you like watching this or you like listening to it, and you don't want this to turn into one man in a weirdly sort of sparse room that hasn't been decorated, clearly lives by himself, trying to intellectualize things without sort of having the ability or effort in their analysis to do so. Tell your friends.
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Otherwise, look,
this is really great. Threatening people into subscribing.
Well, I mean, these guys, like, you know, if you make, like, we should start titling our videos like Ange Postecoglou dead. Like that's seemingly how you kind of do it. So
just hook in at the start. Like today, we're going to discuss: is Ange Postecoglou dead?
He's not.
No, he's not. I like not even leave it to the end of the video. They just switch off after 10 seconds.
Still got your view. I was listening to this guy talk about Arsenal. That was the most recent one, and oh god, it was funny. Oh god, it was funny listening to him sort of, but not like get shouty, not like Arsenal Fan TV, but just like if he was talking to you like that, you'd be like, settle down.
So this was after their loss?
Yes. Oh. Fulham always loved you.
Yeah. It's always been our second team, really.
Yeah. Oh, I actually don't like them, but
no, I don't like them.
Yeah, it was great the way that he sort of was. He started talking about good midfields and Thomas Partey, like without any mention of like the fact that he's a criminal.
Yeah.
But that's what you get on the internet.
Yeah, we need to bring you back to the light side of the internet.
Yeah. No, I'm there now. I'm there. But yeah, the game was a fun watch.
Very fun watch. I found all three of these games a fun watch. Even though the Brighton one, we didn't get the result we wanted, it was still a fun watch. Like, so
the idea. How'd the game go, Manager Dan of Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, we didn't get the result we wanted. We didn't get the result we wanted. Oh, poo-poos.
Oh. So what are you going to do to change it?
Oh, no.
I don't know. Actually, a really good way to deflect any questioning.
It would be good. It's like if a manager did just go... Because, you know, like you see the managers, they awkwardly shut things down and it comes awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I think... Like Klopp does it a little bit when he has a result he doesn't like. We haven't really seen Ange do it. I think Arteta, you know, there are a few who do. Or Roy Hodgson, he did that recently as well, where he's just like, well, that's not a very good question for after losing. But I'd love it if someone just goes into character and it's just, oh, silly game.
Oh, I wish. Give me drink.
Yeah, give me drink.
They wouldn't know what to do.
Start sucking on the microphone. Which is actually Ange. Like we've done a lot of Ange impersonations, a lot of the breathing, all this, that, everything else. It seems now pretty much every single post-match game, he's got a little cough.
Yeah.
Which is there before sort of every sentence. He'll be like, and then he'll answer, and then it's like 10 seconds later. So I'm like, has Ange got a mystery illness that we don't worry about?
Or is he like, this gives me more time to think about my response?
Yes.
So if I just cough, whoa, okay. Is this going to be picked up? That
it should be picked up.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, it just seems like we've made up a storm.
Yeah,
for no
we're in a storm.
Wasn't that make this more interesting? Whoa! Podcast in a storm?
Yeah.
Wild.
We could make that the title.
Yeah.
Right.
Do they survive?
Yeah, do they survive? Find out at the end. Because we don't know right now.
We don't know. We could not survive.
Yeah, who knows? I thought the Brighton game was actually fun. In the sense that how we kind of looked like we were going to come back.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was so good. I think I watched that game delayed.
Yes. Yeah.
Because my wife and 2-year-old, they were sort of playing in the background. And like I was getting quite sort of animated, not angry, but just like animated and excited for like the last 20 minutes, I think, where it started to turn. And it just became me repeating, saying to them, but really just saying to myself, I guess. Of like, whoa, it's pretty much impossible to do. But, weird things have happened, but it's impossible to do. But who knows?
Yeah.
Not likely, but... And then they left the room because they're just like, we don't care. We don't care about this.
And then you start drawing faces on some of the pillows.
Yes.
And welcome to the club. I think it is great that in that period where it was 4-2, that it sounds like you had the same, but I genuinely, like, obviously acknowledging how unlikely it would be for us to pull it back to a draw or whatever, but I still was like, this is going to happen. Like, we're going to draw. We're going to manage to do this, which is pretty great, even in defeat, and there is lots of criticism that can be put forward towards the goals we conceded. But to have a team where at that stage of the match you're still like, we could do this, is a big change from where we were. It's great.
And like, I just look at it in the sense of if you're down a couple of goals or more than a couple of goals, a significant amount of goals, some might say insurmountable.
Yeah.
What would you rather do? Would you rather just be like pissed off for the last 20, 30 minutes of the game and just like sulking and like, it doesn't matter if we score one or who cares? Or like just live in that moment of hope of like, well, maybe we could do this. Maybe Veliz gets a hat-trick today.
Yeah.
Maybe this is that. But it's like, I don't love the fact that we get in that position, but I love that when we are in that position, we're still going to have a crack here.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much better than sort of withdrawing. It's like, well, this is the situation. It's that whole, like, Ange, like, you just got to accept it, mate. You got to accept the game state and just got to, this is our game. We play our game still, which is cool. It's really cool. And sure, we could go down there and make it 5 and that would suck. But really, like, I mean, when it gets to the end of the season and then we miss out on whatever by a goal difference, then you're probably like, oh, but
that's I love that that's always the thing that's raised.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we can't concede another one because what if it comes to the end of the season, we're going to win the title and then there's goal difference of 1 and it's all back to this game.
Yeah, but what if you went for it and then drew and then goal difference didn't matter because you're a point ahead?
Yeah. Exactly. It's so good that that's like, we just know that that's how we're going to be. We're not going to get so down in a game that we start making like more defensive subs just to sort of, put up the barricade and no more. Let's just stop and hold it here. It's like, no, we're going to still go for it.
Yeah.
And in that game, well, we're on Brighton. I loved Veliz's celebration.
I can't remember what it was.
He scored and he went nuts.
Oh, I remember him going nuts.
And he was like, yes, yes, yes. And then I think it was I think we've had like Postecoglou now commentating for like 3 games. And he was like, oh, don't know about, maybe a bit too much of a celebration there and that. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, this guy's like, he was playing in what, the Primera division in Argentina, like at the end of last season. Which is still isn't a shabby competition. Like, you still made it as a professional footballer there. But to go from there to playing Premier League and to score your first Premier League goal, Like, what's he supposed to do? Supposed to be
mm.
like, no, you're not allowed to celebrate this moment you've been dreaming about your whole life.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
playing in a top league and scoring a goal. No, naughty boy.
I mean, one of my favorite things in the world is celebration/happiness cops.
Yeah.
Like, that are like, no, not allowed. No, sorry. I have a problem with how you're expressing your happiness at this achievement where you've scored in the Premier League. Like, what?
It's like, what are you supposed to do in that moment? It's like, oh, we're down? I've just scored? Oh, damn it. This sucks.
Yeah.
This is so bad. I hate it.
Having said that, you know, like, it's, I guess, Koku's take is devoid of any context. Like, if Son scored and went that nuts, you'd kind of be like, okay. What? He'd probably get, like, investigated for, like, inside betting or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, but the guy scored his first goal. Like,
totally. It's a very good point you made. Or it's like, if that's his, like, 10th goal. But actually, having said that, if that is just Veliz's thing, that he just loves scoring, and he does it every time he scores whenever, fine. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. Like, if it is if someone like Son scores that, you know, a consolation goal effectively in a game, and he does go like that, you would start being like, oh, okay, Sonny, like, okay. It's weird. It's just weird that you're celebrating that.
Yeah. I mean, also, if you think, like, you score a goal, it's 4-1, there's, you know, 10 minutes plus injury time to go, and the person that scores it goes fucking nuts, right? The rest of the team, like, you know how when people score consolation goals, they're kind of like, and then run back. It's kind of like this admission of, like, well, that didn't really matter. Yeah. Whether when Veliz does it, it's like, here we go. Like, and then we went and got another one. And then it became more interesting in terms of, if we'd got a third goal, are you allowed to celebrate that a lot?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It would be funny, though, if Veliz had scored and then you just see, like, the rest of the team, like, all getting on board with a huge celebration. Like, Veliz taking his top off. He's running around doing, like, a lap of honor. He gets to a stage where he's like, mate, hey, oi, mate. Mate, come on, back it, come on. We got to kick off. We've still got 3 more goals to go.
The whole team's doing, like, the penguin slide.
They actually get out a full slip and slide. And, like, Jedinak there just turning the water on, getting it going. That would be amazing.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, I mean, give yourself a bit more. I mean, to me, it's still so inaccurate, injury time. Like, I could never predict it.
No.
Ever.
It's wild now.
Yeah.
9 minutes. How?
Yeah, you're like, what? How? Or when it's like 2 minutes, you're like, was it?
Yeah.
Like, what about all this stuff? I don't.
And I find really the first half ones are so all over the place because there's maybe not even been a goal scored, not even really any stoppages.
Yeah.
And then it's like, 7 minutes.
Yeah. What?
What? How?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It is quite wild. I guess while Veliz is still in our minds here, in the Bournemouth game, I did find it very, very sad when he did get injured.
Yeah.
And I liked Ange's comments afterwards that he was like, mate, we were just trying to get the message to him just to, like, sit down and so we could take him off. But, like, you've got Veliz just, like, constantly getting up like a cockroach that just refuses to die. And he's just like, I can still run, Gaffer. Still got legs in me, Gaffer. Let me go. He's like, no, down. Hey, Veliz, mate, sit down. Come on.
It was very much like, just a flesh wound, Gaffer.
And it's like, it'll come out now. It's like, then Veliz is now out for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because he's completely aggravated what was a very minor discomfort of an injury to seeing him like, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he was so upset when he came off. That was sad.
And then everyone consoled him.
Yeah.
He was like bent over and you had like pretty much everyone who was already on the bench, like helping him get off, but then also like consoling him there. We got to remember too, like he's a child.
Yeah.
You know? So it makes sense. I didn't mind that. Like it also shows, I think, how much it means to him, like to score a goal, then get in, start getting maybe some more minutes, hopefully, and then get an injury, which he knows is going to put him out for a while.
Yeah.
Similarly, Sarr's injury,
where
like he looked like he was in tears because I assume because it meant that he misses like at least a chunk of AFCON, if not the whole thing. But they are young boys. And And so I would much prefer us to see these emotions come out rather than just seeing like just stoic, no reactions to anything. Doesn't hurt, I feel fine.
And then it's like out for, as you said, 3 years. And you're like, what? I really learned something about myself when Sarr was injured and was upset and assumed because of AFCON. Because my reaction was good. He can't go. And I was like, that's really bad. But it was my honest reaction, which is
like, good, that means he can't go. Hopefully then it's a 1-week injury, but he misses out of the AFCON squad, but then he's back for the Man United game.
Exactly. That I was like, great, he can't go. It's a minor injury, but he can't fly. The club won't release him, so now he's available.
I love that the complexity of these hypotheticals come out, that it's like all these like things have to be ticked off in a row. It's like, so he's too injured to go, but then and not go with the squad at all, completely miss out. But then the injury actually isn't that bad because like the doctor they went and got a second opinion, and it turns out it wasn't as grave as they first thought.
Yep.
And then it's just like all these checkpoints through, and it's like, all right, great.
And actually, he's feeling better than he's ever felt. But in training, Ange says you can go, and he's like, I'm just so focused on the Premier League.
This is when I say, like, on your iPad, you've just got this fan fiction, just pages written out. And it's like, it's literally just that story, but in 10 chapters.
Way, way too over descriptive on everything. Was it Veliz where Ange went absolutely cuckoo bananas and started yelling and pointing, and there was that kind of
it could have, it was around that time, but I didn't ever hear what that was completely about, because it seemed like it was Bournemouth's manager, is it Irola? He was sort of standing there the whole time, or kind of away from the kerfuffle, being like, not me. Not to me. Not to me at all. And it seems like one of the assistants was really getting into it. But that's the most fired up I've ever seen Ange. Like, he looked like he wanted to throw down.
It was unreal.
And Gio was in there too.
Of course Gio was in there. I saw this tweet from Flav from the Fighting Cock that was, I think if me and my missus got into a fight in the kitchen, Gio would come out of one of the cupboards to get involved. Like, it's just so funny.
It's so good.
And I love as well that, because he's always, involved in any scrap, any argument, he'll be there. He'll be there. But then, like, thinking back to the Amazon documentary when he's like, I play for you, gaffer. Who is this guy that comes out when he's like, oh, there's a scrap on, oh my God, I've got to be involved.
He just sees the red mist. And it just completely changes him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he wasn't at the stadium, he would just get on the motorway, speed in. I'm coming. He arrives like 3 hours after the game, just now looking to start anyone. It's just like, all right, I've got all this built up, let's go.
I have enjoyed his, I was going to say cameos, but he's been on for longer than what you'd say a cameo is.
Yeah, he's starting to play quite a few minutes now, because I guess he started against Bournemouth and then didn't start against, Brighton, but he came on for the last... I'm still finding it a little bit odd in a way, that it's like we see Gio have a good game maybe 4 or 5 games ago. And then I think after that he had a kind of a weak game. But it still seems like he's teetering on the edge of, like, Ange isn't fully convinced by him. But then I wonder as well if it's just still trying to manage injuries and knowing that, like, if he can't play every few days or something like that. Because, it is a bit weird. It's like we're seeing, like, glimpses of him, like, okay, great, he can now be more of a creative outlet through this period, especially when we don't have Maddison, but then he's on the bench for the next game.
I'm confused by it too, because, you see flashes of, like, this guy's great, and then he doesn't have a game that's awful, but you're like, that wasn't as good, and then he kind of disappears. I wonder whether it's because he's almost like FIFA Turbo front foot, where everything is just, like, constantly moving the ball forward. Like, he doesn't... I wouldn't say that he has a lot of poise. So it could be that. I don't know.
Yeah. Could be a combination of all of those things.
Yeah, it could be. A direct correlation.
I would say, though, it does seem like going into the transfer window now, which is open.
Hey!
Hey! Whoa!
Whoa!
Celebration.
Yeah, let's sign Gareth Bale.
Let's bring him out of retirement.
Yeah.
It does seem like maybe we have been linked with Gallagher, but it seems like a midfielder is not the massive priority right now. Like, we are kind of stacked in a few areas. And hang on. The thing we haven't mentioned at all, Bentancur just pops up out of nowhere to start.
What the hell?
Like, because I had heard nothing about him even being mentioned as like he's almost back. I thought it was 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And then the first thing I saw about it was on our Discord in our matchday chat, someone had put up before I'd seen the lineup, Bentancur, and then like 5 exclamation marks. And I was like, wait, what is even going on? And then you see and it's like Bentancur starting.
Yeah.
And he looked good.
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. But yeah, it was so well done by the club because they were just like, yeah, it's 2.5 months. He's injured again. Terrible Matty Cash, bastard man.
Yeah.
Well, we won't be seeing him for a while. And then all of a sudden, bang, he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting.
So good. And Ange speaking afterwards, and Roddy. And he's like, yeah, well, Roddy was training this week and I didn't see anything that thought, he couldn't play, and had a chat with him and he said he could play. And it's just like, at no stage did he mention like the medical staff being like, and they double checked and made sure that he was all good. It was just like, he was in training, he looked pretty good, and I didn't see anything. And then he told me, and so I played him, mate.
Yeah, the way I work basically is I say to the players, are you injured? They say yes or no, and that's how I include them on the team sheet. So Madison, I'm saying, are you injured? He says yes. I go, okay. Yeah, fine, all the doctors.
Yeah,
we just kind of go by vibe.
Yeah, we just go vibe. We don't believe in medicine.
Yeah. I'm modern in lots of other ways. Yeah, medicine, I guess you could say I'm a little bit more conservative there.
Yes.
I think it's complete nonsense, to be honest with you.
This is what they mean when they're just like, Ange he's modern, but he's also a bit old school because of his age. He's a little bit older. Yeah. And it's like very modern, attacking football and tactics, but hates medicine.
Yeah. We've actually invested in warlocks. Yeah. We've got a team warlock that does all the sort of what a doctor would do, lots of spells and rituals.
You think Jedinak a coach?
Yeah.
And he finished playing like 3 years ago. When would he have got his coaching badge? Exactly. Really think about it.
Yeah, but he could have gone to warlock school in that time.
It's only a 2-year course.
He fast tracked.
Yeah.
He fast tracked.
They did it full time.
Full time. Good on you.
Yeah. And night school.
Yeah. So yeah. I was going to say something about this game, and now, the fact that we are continuing to play with a backline that is entirely made up of fullbacks.
Oh.
And we are 1 point behind Arsenal.
It's incredible. Like, short kings, even though they're not, like, Dorky's like 6 foot. Yeah. I think Emerson's like 6'1" or something, but overall, still short kings.
Yeah.
Davies and Porro sub 6. But it's like, it's amazing. And I think the first game that we saw them play were like this. Was it Wolves? Maybe? Where it's like, it started off looking okay, and then we ended up getting exposed. No, it was Villa. Because we were like, all right, ball's in the air, we're going to be in trouble. But it's like, it's just amazing. Like, I'm so happy with how they're all playing. I think Davies has been incredible.
He's been great.
I think Emerson has actually been really, really good as well, and is like underappreciated for how well he's been playing in these games. And you still see, though, a lot of comments from people going like, why aren't we playing Dorrington and Phillips instead? Why are we playing teenage boys? And it's just like the step up from like, I definitely think like it would be great to start introducing them a little bit when we're comfortably winning games, but not putting them into like the cauldron of a Premier League game where we're like fighting for our lives in like, the last 10 minutes. And just going like, players with no top flight experience at all, they would be better than professionals who play for their countries and have played in the league like Davies for like 10 years. It's like, it's wild to me.
Yeah, it makes, like, just even experience-wise, given that they are children, boys, right, that then it's like, should we play the grown men who are used to the physicality of the Premier League and how they're going to be able to hold themselves against bigger bodies.
Yeah.
Or should we play boys that aren't fully developed, don't have experience, and are likely going to get absolutely smashed?
Yeah.
I wonder which one we should pick.
What should we go for? And then, because it becomes a thing of like, well, I thought Ange was a manager who liked youth players.
Yeah.
And it's like, we haven't, like, Udogie's young, Sarr's young. Like, we're seeing evidence of youth players coming in, and like Johnson's pretty young too. He's not afraid to play young players, but it's like, it's such a jump, because what is going to happen is if we start with like, all right, next game, we're going to start with Dorrington and Phillips. We're going to bring on Donnelly as well. We're going to bring on Dane Scarlett's back. We're going to bring him on up front. What happens when those players, struggle for 30 minutes in a game, in a Premier League game, first game ever?
Yep.
What are fans going to do then? They're not going to sit back and be like, no, well, don't worry about it. He's just a young boy. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, oh, he's not up to scratch. He's rubbish. And they're going to start writing off these players like before they've even had a chance to really properly develop and go through this whole process.
Yeah. Can you imagine like so much the nerves to start your first Premier League game and then it doesn't go very well because you're a boy playing next to another boy. There's other boys in the team.
As a centre-back as well.
As a centre-back, how much it would affect your development after you have an experience where you get smashed, and then all the fans say like ridiculous crap youth prospect. You would be like, it would set you back like 100 steps. It would be so bad.
Totally. Like TikTok would be a wash of just like fans going, look, here's my FIFA save. I sold Phillips because he's rubbish. Getting him out of the club, whatever I can do.
Yeah.
Like you always see that like people put up things of like they want to sell Emerson, so they go on FIFA and like record a clip of them selling him and him being walked out of the ground, and all that sort of stuff. And it would be the same sort of thing. And it's like it's just so insane. A centre back, like you can't make mistakes. If you make mistakes, the other team high chance of scoring. At least if you're a forward, like you could chuck Scarlett in. And he could fluff a few chances and we could end up going like, he missed a few chances there. Could have scored. But like you put like a Phillips there. And if he gets like, manhandled by Ollie Watkins and like just destroyed in the air, that's like, they become catastrophic errors that you make in defense. So I would much rather us trust in Davies and Emerson and then Porro and Udogie. I mean, it's fun to watch as well.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, bring them all. Bring the boys in. Bring in the under 11s, I reckon. Just give them a go.
What's that? So, Ange, you've actually named 3 under 11s in the starting lineup today.
I love youth.
I love youth. People saying I don't love youth, but what do they say now?
Here you go. Look at this. I love youth. I love youth culture.
Yes.
Watch me whip. Watch me nay. All right.
All right, Ange.
Okay.
That would just had a thought. It would actually be quite good if like you see the squad coming out and they're holding all the mascots like hands, and then it turns out the mascots come up, they all stand there, and then when it's like after they stand, look at the camera, whatever they do, and then it's like the first team, they just all run off. The mascots take off their jackets and they just start warming up, and it's just like the wildest thing that's ever happened, because you see all these clips now of like, what's Xabi Alonso doing in Germany? Like, wow, the football he's playing is so forward-thinking and incredible. Or like, what's this manager doing in like Chile? Oh, amazing. And it's like, Ange's just like, no, I want to be known as the most forward-thinking, the wildest manager ever.
My New Year's resolution is to be the wildest manager ever.
People think I'm a boring guy. I'm not boring.
I'm not boring at all. Watch this. Hugo. Bye-bye.
Bye. That sounds like we really want him to leave. Like, it sounds like...
No, that sounds like, is that a Backstreet Boys song?
Well, I think NSYNC.
NSYNC?
Yeah, but it sounds like if someone's leaving and we're like, bye. It sounds like we're really aching for it. But I think it's a great move for him to go to, I think, LAFC. And I didn't see anything about this, but then when you just see a clip come up of Hugo's face and he's got a turtleneck on, you're like, right, this is a leaving video.
Yeah, he's got his serious clothes on
Yes.
as opposed to his wacky clothes. I wonder whether, his last season, with the limitations that he has always had in his game with distribution, plus
I'm sorry, this is last
season, yeah. Plus sort of, him getting older, not able to react maybe as well as he could when he was younger, has had an impact. Because I was like, good, see ya. That was my actual reaction. I was like, about time, mate.
Is this a look into the savage mind of like how you felt with Sarr, Hugo?
Well, I think so with Hugo, I think I have like a real gripe with him in terms of his captaincy and being like, you don't front up to the media, and when you do, like, it's never sort of like, or I'm sick of or when he was manager, when he was captain, which is now missing, that get out that you'd hear.
Yeah.
It's funny that now that that's gone, we can get out better.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's like, and it did also seem like, we held on to him for a couple of seasons too long. Like he was so solid for maybe like 6-7 years or so. And then the errors started coming in. But then I think that's where, and I assume this is the period you're talking about of like, he was making quite a few errors in games and things like that, but then still wasn't fronting up to talk.
Yes.
As the captain after games.
Yeah.
And it would be like, send out Pierre.
Yeah.
Send out Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
Anyone else but me.
Yeah. That's, I think, where, not to take away from how great he was for us.
Yeah.
But that just really annoyed me.
Yeah.
That he would make errors and then wouldn't front up to the media. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and as a captain, it's like you want your captain to be the mouthpiece for the team. Like, I assume that that's what all the captains are supposed to be doing and sort of taking on that responsibility, not just like organizing tickets for family and friends. I think it was something on like Peter Crouch's podcast once. He was just like, yeah, no, captain would like organize tickets for like family and friends. And I'm like, isn't there like a liaison who would like...
What? These clubs
do that?
Multi-million-dollar organizations. We just don't have someone to organise tickets for family and friends, so that's going to be a captain's job.
It's going to be a captain.
Yeah, it's going to have to be the captain, actually.
We've had to fire the tea lady, so...
It's going to be the
captain. We've got to go to the captain as well.
Yeah, we've got 60 people in marketing. But we are going to need the captain to do this.
There's a lot of marketing to do.
Yeah, so much marketing to do.
Come on, like...
Yeah. They're too busy to organise tickets. Yeah, ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. Also, I feel like now with Son, because of how he sort of leads the team, I'm like, you can tell he's the captain.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously the captain. He does captain things.
Yeah.
He's very encouraging. You can always see him like chatting and talking to people, or, like comforting people or whatever. But then the same could be said for Romero and Maddison.
Yeah.
With Hugo, I was like, yeah, he's the captain. I guess it's almost like a title that doesn't really have any meaning.
Yeah, I think it's like there's so much more of that public display of captaincy, whereas Hugo's just like, other players and even Ange, like they talk about him like great professional, great leader, all that, but it seems to be very much maybe behind the scenes, and we never really get to see it. So it's hard for us fans to get that same type of connection.
Yeah.
Whereas if we see that like someone like Son, who's like, hard on his sleeve, all that sort of stuff, like isn't afraid to cry in front of everyone, isn't afraid to like build up things to the players. Like at the end of this game, when the camera went up to him, he just looked at the camera. He's like, "Happy New Year, everyone!" And I'm like, "Yes, Sonny,
yeah."
Like whatever he does, it's like he's very like I think Son takes it so seriously, and he really understands that like public display of captaincy, which is needed.
Well, I think you've made a good delineation there between leadership and captaincy style, where Son's is just more accessible to the viewer, to the fan, versus Hugo's, which maybe he was doing all those things, it just publicly wasn't, as prevalent. which is true. I'm not here to spit on Hugo's grave. I know he's not dead, but he's dead to me.
Do you know what's going to come out after this? They're going to, like, Hugo's going to be like, yeah, I really struggled as captain because I have, like, chronic anxiety of, like, talking. And then I'll be like, my bad. Yep, fair enough.
Yeah, I bet.
Yep.
I bet that will happen. There was another point I was going to make, and it was about... at the start of the Bournemouth game, we went into a huddle before we started. And I can't remember who was in commentary. Was it... no, it doesn't matter. But they were like, that's the deepest they're going to be all season, because we, like, had our huddle, like, way off to the side, which I was like, that... I'm always, like, full armchair psychologist tactics watching that, where I'm like, that's so clever, because they're sort of being like, the game doesn't start until we're ready for it to start. Yeah. We're purposely going to make you stand there, you know, while we have this huddle, and then come and take our positions. Yeah. It's like, that's cool. Whether it was intentional or not, who knows?
Because I think they did it for the Brighton game as well. And the Brighton game was, like, towards, like, where our away fans were as well. Yeah, and so, but yeah, I love that idea of, like, yeah, we have a huddle. We do it towards our fans. We do whatever. Yeah. We also, like, well, you just wait. Hang on. Yeah. When we're ready, we'll come.
Yep.
Game can't start without us. Literally, it can't.
It cannot. Yeah. This isn't like FIFA when someone leaves, which happened last night to me. Someone started a game and then... Why am I talking about this? They clearly had left, and so, well, the player automatically kicked the ball down and scored.
Sounds like this is the only time you've scored in FIFA in history. You're just like, you know what? Tomorrow on the pod, I'm going to tell Dan about the goal I scored.
On the way here, I was like, I've got to find a way to put it in somewhere. I've got to bring it up.
It's like, you didn't even dress it up of, like, scored a pretty good goal in FIFA.
It wasn't good, though. I just scored, and that's enough, you know?
No, but you do that. Like, if that sort of thing happens, you're like, I could wait to see if they reconnect. Or I could just score.
Yeah.
And try and get that W.
Always score. So, are we going to do questions now, or are we going to... What are these posters?
So we've got... let's go to that question first.
Okay.
So this was Van de Ken season posted on the Discord. Yep. Which movie would you watch? Now, my understanding is that the Spurs official account, I think, put these up.
Right, okay.
As it was like, Merry Christmas, everyone! Christmas movies, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
And they've got, you can look it up. If you go to the Spurs official Twitter and find their Christmas one, there's the Santa Claus, which is Sonny as Santa, and Brian Hill, like, under his arm in a bit of a headlock. Very weird selection of players there of just like, let's get Hill in there.
Yeah, especially because he's kind of under Son's arm, and the Santa Claus sounds like some kind of really, like, dodgy legal agreement. Yeah. Where it's like, Brian, as you know, with your contract, Son is allowed to get you in a headlock 3 times a day, and you just have to let it happen.
This can't sound right.
It's the Santa Claus, mate. You should have read it.
The Santa Claus. We then have Glove Actually, which is Love Actually with all of our keepers. The funny thing in there is that they've gone, you know, you've got Vicario, you've got the women's keepers in there, you've got Fraser Forster, you've got then you've got Paul Robinson, throwback, Aurelio Gomez, Pat Jennings, legend, of course, Hugo, and then you got Brandon Austin and Alfie Whiteman, which I love. Is like, it seems like it's like, well, we got to include Brandon and Alfie because otherwise they're going to be really upset.
Yeah, we're going to have to include, okay, well, let's do something where there's like an ensemble cast so they can just be in it. Yeah, again, Glove Actually. Are you in love? No, not with a person, with my glove.
Like, these all sound like sort of Spurs pornos.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
We've got the next one is Decky the Halls.
Yep.
Which is Decky wrapped up in Christmas lights with Romero, where they've removed his neck.
Yeah.
I don't know why in the thing they decided to go, we'll put his head on, but you know what? Let's just remove the neck.
Who are the actors that they've put their faces over?
I've got no idea. Deck the Halls. I've never seen that film.
Yeah, neither have I. Neither have I. Also, so what's concerning to me about this one, and if you look at as Dan said, Kulusevski's wrapped up in Christmas lights. Romero, he's got the power cords that he's going to connect them. The thing is, the lights are already on.
Yep.
Right? The lights.
And it's not connected.
It's not connected. So what is going to happen when he connects the power cords?
Yeah. Is Romero going to light himself on fire?
Yeah, when he connects them, he just lights on fire.
It's a big prank from Decky.
He set it all up. He's a mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decky, don't you think it's going to be obvious that you've already got lights on? Nah, he won't tell.
No.
Nah, he won't know.
Yeah, he won't know. He won't take that in. And then we've got Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Eric Dyer. It's a Die Hard. There's flames. There's a plane.
To be fair, it looks like it could be the most like authentic one. Like just Dyer's look like Dyer could be playing in that movie. Like he's maybe too softly spoken for it, but it's like I could see Dyer as a stoic action star.
Yeah, sure. Die Hard. What is that? The thing I don't like about any of these is that none of them make sense.
Yeah.
Like none of them are good. Like they suck. All of them suck.
Yeah, totally. There's a couple more, and like, including one which is like the Porro Express.
Which is Pedro Porro in miniature form standing in front of a gigantic train.
So what I don't get there is like you could easily put Porro like on top of the train riding it or something.
Or hanging off the front.
Hanging off the front. It looks like he's trying to take his own life.
Yeah, it's really... or he's like going to have a showdown with his train.
Yeah.
Which is nothing like the film.
Yeah.
Do you think these are AI generated?
I'd love it if they were.
Because they're bizarre.
I mean, like, it could be a thing of like, all right, ChatGPT, here are the list of all the players in our team. Please come up with puns for movies.
Yeah. They're so bad.
But like, yeah, the Porro, it's unbelievable. It's like, why is Porro just seeking imminent doom?
Yeah, it really looks like it's a dark image.
Because there's a little snowman with his arms up on the sides. It looks like he's running over. Stop! No, Pedro! No! Don't go!
You're tiny!
Yeah. Maybe that's the whole idea that like the crowd will be like, no, well, if you actually, once the train gets to him, he's so small. He's 3 millimeters tall.
Yeah, so
the train goes over
him. It'll be fine.
This kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Polar Express. I put them together.
Put them together. And he loves it down there. Yeah. He loves it under the train, the way it rumbles. It's his favourite thing to do.
I would actually love like for us to create some of these, but try and make them as nonsensical as we can, but still just enough that people would look at it and go like, what? I don't get that.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to beat how stupid these are.
It's going to be very, very hard to beat.
To use less logic, but I reckon we should give it a go.
It reminds me a while ago, there was like that image that started doing the rounds of like a fan put up, I think it's around when we signed Perisic or something, and it was like walking out into the stadium. That's what like the image was set, and there was like a bit of turf which was like levitating in the air, and like Perisic was standing on top of it, and like Kane was crawling out of the hole, and there was like someone else was in the sky, like Conte or something.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
And people were just commenting like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Like we're looking at this for hours and we can't find any discernible meaning. What could this possibly be?
Yeah.
It makes no sense on any level.
Yeah, God, I love that. I loved that. I mean, you've made some great ones previously, which, have been co-opted by other podcasts. But yours are so much better than these. Like maybe we could get a job on Spurs Play if you email them and say, hey, look, I looked at your dog shit Christmas posts and I raise you these. And then you might be like, and I can make films. Here is the list that I've come up with on the podcast A Bit Spurs. You've probably heard of it.
Spurs Play just like, stop messaging us about Photoshop. Like,
yeah. What if you guys did slideshows?
Yeah, do slideshows? Do you use PowerPoint?
Do you use PowerPoint? I could do PowerPoints for you.
Do you have like a corporate license or what's the...
Yeah.
Yeah, is everyone covered? Because we can do it.
I just want to know who made these and who went, great, post them. That's so
great. Because sometimes like when we post stuff like this, you post up, you're like, is this a bit stupid?
Yeah.
like we do on Paratici things and put it up and like I've got quite a lot of like likes and comments stuff. But you post it up and you're just like,
it's pretty dumb.
This is pretty dumb.
Yeah.
This is pretty stupid. So I guess in some way I like that it's like this type of content is now being co-opted, but it's
I should take it back to the original question, which is which one would you watch? It's a great question.
It's a great question.
It's really got us talking. Which one would you watch, Dan?
I'm probably going to watch. It's really, really hard. Well, part of me wants to think the Poro Express, but that feels like it's going to be quite sad given how we're speaking about it. I would actually love to see just like Glove, actually, just like a rom-com starring only keepers.
Yeah. Did he propose to you? Yes, with his glove. Couldn't get the ring on, obviously, because we're all wearing gloves. Maybe that's it. It's all the keepers, but they're always wearing their gloves, and so anything that like requires sort of like fine motor control, it's like this is gonna be really hard.
So the whole thing's just slapstick with them just like trying to open cans of beans with like
yeah, but they love each other. I guess.
What about a rom-com with keepers where they've just got gloves on the whole time?
I'd love that.
Great.
I would watch that. I would watch. Well, I think, given that Romero, I think, is meant to be Danny DeVito, I would pick that one.
Oh, okay. Danny DeVito and Deck the Halls.
Mm-hmm.
Still know who the tall one is, though, do we?
No, I just looked up. I think it's Matthew Broderick.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm going to pick that because I love Danny DeVito, and I would love to see Romero do an impression of Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I would love if these were actually someone deep faked the whole films and just put like Decky's face on Romero's face on the whole thing.
This took me months.
So this is how you wanted to use deepfake technology? Like
yes,
absolutely. We've trained our AI not to use deepfake for bad purposes.
Yeah, instead, we just replace actors in films with players from Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
Great.
Invest in our Silicon Valley.
Yeah. We're thinking about floating ourselves on the stock exchange. I think it's going to go pretty good. This next question from Ted Cruz in USA. It's tinfoil hat time, which is my favorite time of the year. Have you noticed whenever VAR is effing up? I accidentally swore before. What's the rule?
You swear in most pods that we don't.
Okay, right. But I shouldn't.
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't... Okay.
No, it's only an issue, I believe, if you're like monetizing, but I think you can actually say the F word.
All right, cool. Whenever VAR is fucking up a perfectly good... Oh, wow, I'm cool now. I said that. Perfectly good game.
And so cool.
Yeah, it's clear to everyone watching that it's been a... Well, should I start this again? I'm lost.
You just want to say it again.
Yeah. I'll start from there. Have you noticed whenever VAR is fucking up a perfectly good game and it's clear to everyone watching that it's been a failure, the commentators always say, well, obviously VAR is here to stay, but this has to be like a mandate from the networks or something, right? They want to start slipping in commercial breaks, and this is how they do it. Or is John Champion just a huge fan of admin?
Right, yeah. So to distill that, it's basically, is this like a... Is this a cover-up for something else that's going to happen, right?
Where they're going to start using the time where VAR is working as a time that they can put in ads.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't already happened. Like, it could very, very soon be a case where, like, VAR becomes like, and we're going to go check McDonald's VAR, blah, 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 replay.
Yeah.
Or they do what feels like a very American sports thing where it, like, goes into not a split screen, but where the action kind of, like, you know, goes smaller and then it's like an ad pops up. So you still have it. We're not cutting away from the whole thing, but that time is used for something else.
Yeah.
It feels like a Bowley thing to do. Like if he was like,
oh yeah,
you know, we can learn a lot from American sports here.
Yeah.
You'd have sponsored VAR.
Yeah.
But you have this weird thing. It's like, well, contractually, we need to have 9 VAR stoppages in this game.
Well, what I think is maybe stopping it from happening is because VAR is so hated that any brand doesn't want to align themselves with it because they don't want to be, it's like are you kidding me? McDonald's is. I'm never eating one of their burgers again. Like, because it is a bad look because everyone hates VAR. So
maybe like smear campaigns, like politicians start putting like their rivals up.
Yeah, and say like, yeah, look here,
look what Tony Blair's been doing.
Yeah. I know he's been out of office for years, but you won't believe what he's been up to.
No rules about when we can stop the smear campaigns.
It could be, and like. This is a very like a take missing probably a lot of context, but I've always assumed that it is true that a lot of American sports are like designed almost around getting as much advertising in as possible.
I'd say so. Like
there are so many opportunities to have ad breaks.
Yeah.
Whether football, obviously, there's not. I mean, you could do like what the WWE does and just cut to ad breaks whenever and then be like, well, you missed that.
Mid-match.
Yeah.
And like, how did Rey Mysterio get ahead here?
Yeah. Oh, well, should have been there, I guess.
Like, I love that they start doing that for games and it's like we're just watching and then it's like, Son's through on the break and then it's just like, boom, cuts to like some Nike ad for something and then we come back and we're down 3 goals.
Yeah. What the hell?
What the hell happened here?
I wonder whether it's a network thing or whether it's a PGA thing. Is that PGA? Is that the
golf tour?
What's the ref?
PFA?
PFA.
Yeah.
I reckon it's probably the PGA. Probably a golf thing.
This is really, well, you did say tinfoil hat time.
Yeah, it's probably related to golf.
PGA have got their grubby little hands on all these other sports.
No, the PFA. Is it the PFA? Isn't that the...
I always get confused because like the PFA, because when you think about it, you're like, could it be professional football association? Could it be players football association?
Yeah. I thought it was like Pummol.
Pugmol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
PGMOL.
Yeah. Is that it? I wonder whether they are not allowed to, because you know how, actually it's a little bit different in the Premier League, but it's like not a good look for them to slag off refs on the broadcast, like overly, like really go in on them.
Yeah.
So if they were to say like VAR is absolute trash, we should get rid of it on the broadcast, it's, you've got influence there and that's going to sort of, I don't know, turn up the heat on VAR. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel like the only pundits that end up commentating on VAR, commenting on VAR, are the ones that are like doing a show on a network that is not broadcasting matches.
Yeah.
Because then they can go like, VAR, it's just this, that, everything else. But you're right, if it is it's the line of what they can say is maybe like, well, they've got to get the system tweaked to be faster.
Yeah.
It's like they can only constructively suggest improvements. They can't ever like really sort of let go.
Be like, it's terrible.
It's terrible. Why are we doing this?
Because it's part of the Premier League brand, or I don't know. Maybe they can't. Then it would be, what's the word where you like slander?
Yeah.
Is it slander?
Slander, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Good question. Meet me at our secret undercover base, Ted. Make sure you bring your hat because I don't want any radio signals getting in, and we'll talk about this more.
Well, great. Thank you for the questions. If you do have any questions, feel free to jump in our Discord and ask in there. We've got a specific channel there. All the links to join Discord are at abitspursy.com.
Yep. And click around on the Discord. Have a click around on this video. Maybe click subscribe. Maybe click I like it. Maybe click share and share. But just have a play with your mouse and enjoy it.
So this is the big call to action at the end, where it's like, call to action. Good to be specific. Tell people exactly what they should do to like help things out. Like, click around, play with your mouse. Just do it.
Yeehaw! Well, I think that's us.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, great. Good. I think that's the end, actually. Well, thank you very much for listening / watching. I've been Barney.
I've been Dan.
And come on, you Spurs.